forecast. London Heathrow forecast. London Heathrow, Dallas from the 27th at 0000 until the 28th at 0600. Wind 050 degrees, 4 knots. Visibility 10 kilometers or more. Clouds scattered at 3,000 feet. London Gatwick forecast.
I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, why am I listening to this garbage? This isn't the Archers. No, you're quite right, it's not. It's a thing called Shannon Volmet. And Volmet is, well, it's an aeronautical term for weather report. That's what it is, Volmet. Now, I think Shannon, I'm not sure, does that come out of Ireland? I suspect it's, well, I don't know. I did think it came from Stockholm by the accent. But anyway, it's called Shannon Volmet. And it kind of goes on a loop. You know, rather like those store announcements that you hear in Aldi that I always think, that's a great job. That woman's just sitting in the back office saying, staff member to till 1. Staff, I think I wouldn't mind that job, you know. Anyway, this is Shannon Volmet. And what's remarkable about it, in fact, I'm just going to turn it right off. When I can hit volume, it's difficult when I'm using this camera. Right. Turn off the AGC. Right. It's on 313 kilohertz. And, you know, if you've got a radio capable of tuning into that, and lots do, I'll tell you what, you won't hear it. I'll tell you why you won't hear it. And that's because when you go to mode, it's in USB, that is upper sideband. And I'll explain what upper sideband is in terms that you'll grasp, right? If you were listening to classic FM, which is on 100 megahertz FM, and you can tune a little bit either side, can't you? And still get it. It'll break up a bit. But with upper sideband, you are only using one side of that frequency, the upper side. And you can actually just transmit on the upper side. Now, you're thinking, why would you want to transmit on upper sideband? Well, I'll tell you why, because you don't need the carrier wave. In other words, it's efficient and you can get more in a tiny space. The quality suffers, but you can get a lot in there. But it does mean that you could, if you wanted to, you could have on 100 megahertz classic FM. On upper sideband, you could have the classical music, and on the lower sideband, you could have an endless loop of Ken Dodd telling jokes, and the two would not interfere with each other. So, when I tuned across this, which is 3413 kilohertz, I didn't hear it at all until I switched to upper sideband, USB. Then I could hear it. Now, if I switched, I'm not going to do it, but if I switch to lower sideband, or AM or CW, I won't hear it. I will only hear it when I switch to upper sideband, which is what makes shortwave as interesting as it is. Now, this is, I don't know, just gone 2 in the morning, which is sometimes the best time to listen to shortwave. I've been doing this since I was a boy. But the point is, the Americans, for instance, particularly the hams, generally only talk to themselves. That's what I've found. I mean, it's a big country, so they've got a lot of people to talk to in the States, haven't they? So you'll only find that the east coast of America will tend to talk to Britain and Europe, and not many of them. The Italians, they're very big in the ham world. In fact, they never shut up, the Italians. They go 24/7. A lot of European commercial stations seem to broadcast into Africa. Now, I've got a loop antenna in here. If you imagine a loop on a stick, that's what a loop antenna looks like. So I can turn it round and it's quite directional. But I very rarely, if ever, pick up the States, just occasionally. I would assume that the west coast of the States probably talks to Australia and New Zealand. But what I have heard in the last week is China, Japan, Russia, God forbid, and they've got an interesting slant on the world at the moment. But this is the interesting thing about shortwave. You hear the news because, of course, we've got this war going on in Ukraine. And by and large, and I know people say the BBC is biased, we do get an unfettered access to what's going on, and accurately. And the rest of the world trusts us for that. So I know a lot of people slate the BBC, and I do regarding the TV licence. But as far as radio is concerned, you can't beat them. They are brilliant at news, same as CNN. When you go into the States, news gets very partisan. Like, for instance, Fox News is owned by Rupert Murdoch, and I'm beginning to detest that man, having watched Fox News. Wholly Republican, and will just say whatever it needs to say to get the Republicans back in power. MSNBC, wholly Democrat. Then you've got, somewhere in the middle, you've got CNN and ABC News. That's what I've found through watching American news networks. So tuning around shortwave gives you a new slant on the world, and you can hear what other countries think about it, what's actually going on, some reports that the BBC haven't even covered. So, you know, you've got to take some of it with a pinch of salt, but it does give you an all-round overview of what's going on. And you won't get this on your little FM radio in your kitchen. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe.